Thanks for being here. Um, really happy with what happened last week and Saturday night. Really proud of the kids. Win, lose, or draw. They're our guys, and I love them. And they had their best practice of the year today. They can keep getting better and better and better. We have a pretty stiff test this weekend. We're going to be going to Bloomington, Indiana, place I've been before. And, you look at the film of Indiana, and things that jump out are really well coached. They got a lot of really good players, too. They did a great job in the portal. And Coach Signetti, I'm happy to see a fellow Italian doing well. And he's got it rolling. And that league better get ready for him because he's won everywhere he's been, does a great job. Their quarterback is a kid. I think it was the MAC Player of the Year last year on offense. He's thrown for 8,000 yards there. They're in the top 5, and mostly closer to 1, 2, and 3 in almost every offensive category in the country. Very sophisticated concepts, a really physical offensive line on offense, excellent quarterback, 3 running backs, really good receivers, guys that can make plays, and on defense, they play really hard, really physical, really fast. They run to the ball, and they play really hard. So, it'll be a big test for us going up there against a really good team. And I'll answer any questions you have.
Coach, I want to ask about the health of Deshaun Purdy going into this week.
Okay. Well, somehow I knew you'd ask that. Deshaun is banged up. Okay. We don't think he's going to play this week. Matter of fact, he's not going to play this week. Trexler's getting a start. We have complete confidence in that guy, and so that's where we are.
Obviously, it's not how you draw it up going to third quarterback this early in the season, but what has Trexler showed you in his second year that you had that level of confidence in him?
Moxie. He's tough. He's tough mentally, tough emotionally. He's makes the right decisions, and our team has a tremendous amount of confidence in him, and so do the coaches. I'm really happy for him. You never want to see guys get hurt, obviously, but I'm really happy for Trexler.
Coach, you talked past 2 weeks about how you guys have had great practices, great weeks of practice. How has it gone so far after the game on Saturday?
As far as practice goes, excellent. Sunday was really good, heavy conditioning day, introducing, kind of closing out Gardner-Webb, then introducing Indiana. Excellent meetings, productive meetings. They had a lift, they had conditioning, and a walkthrough. They were off yesterday, and today was a pretty big work day, and they crushed it.
Coach, I know the importance of getting that first win finally, and now that it is under your belt this year, you guys in the win column at least, how have you just noticed the guys, just the morale around them, that now that they, even no matter how it came, they got that win under their belt, they're this motivated and now working even harder this week?
Well, winning is a magic elixir. All of a sudden, all the bumps don't quite bump as hard, and all the complaints aren't quite as, serious, and it does a lot for your team, a lot for your locker room, and a lot for the building. And I think it does a lot for our students, our school, and our fan base. This is interesting, but we are third in the country in capacity, stadium capacity versus people in the seats, only behind Oregon and Purdue, which is amazing. I mean, I'm really, really thrilled about that. And I expect ECU to be as nutty as ever. So, really, but winning helps all that, right?
You already mentioned that Indiana's a little bit of a different beast than Gardner-Webb is. So what's it gonna, I mean, you mentioned your goal is not just to win ball games, but to get better each week. So what does that look like this week, being a 28-point underdog?
28 points? Wow. That's a lot of points. I just want to see us compete, play 60 minutes and compete hard, and do the things we're working on with efficiency and tenacity. And that's what it looks like. I think we've gotten better every week, but this is a really tough test. Big Ten football, is a little different. They're bigger, they're more physical than the average Bear. And so we'll have to hold up in the run game. I have to run the ball. We've been miserable to run the ball, but we're going to have to do all those things. We're going to have to tackle the backs. The backs are big, good-looking, put-together guys. And try to eliminate the explosive plays on defense and maybe get a few on offense. But get better. Got to get better.
How important is an early start to punch first against a team like Indiana and not only compete but try to win that game as well?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're not going there to lose. We're going there to try to win the game. As far as getting the first punch in, it's a 15-round fight. You just can't. You can never give up. There's plenty of teams that, like Saturday, where you throw some big punches early, and if you don't keep punching, you wind up losing. So it's all important.
You brought up the stadium capacity, that type of environment. What does that do for a football program to be able to create that environment around a program?
Our kids love playing at home. And it's not because we don't, it's not because we stay at our hotel or we don't have to get on a plane. It's not because of that. They love playing at home because of our fans. They love the new kind of way we're coming out, before games. And our fans are just, the stadium is really cool because fans are kind of right on top of you, and I mean that in a good way. And the student section is really big, and a big part of the stadium. So as percentage-wise, the students have a big percent, and they're just incredible fans. And so it's great playing there because there's not only people in the seats, but it looks to me like there's people kind of all over the place. So it really helps your team.
Coach, you touched on Indiana's offense and how good they have been so far this season. From a coaching philosophy standpoint, you still want to do what you do offensively and defensively, but when I think a lot of opponents would see a team like that and go, oh, we have to have a ball control offense, have long drives, sustained drives, et cetera, et cetera. But if that's not the identity of said team, that would seem to be a challenge. How do you view something like this matchup, and where do you put your focus on as far as trying to rein in their offense in whatever manner you see fit?
Well, I don't think we're going to, we have to try to, we're not going to shut them down. Okay, nobody shut them down. And, we just have to minimize mistakes, play hard, sideline to sideline for 60 minutes. And, we've told our kids, let's not focus on the scoreboard. We'll look at that at the end. Let's focus on what our game plans are, what our musts are, what we need to do better from last week, and see if we're accomplishing those things. And so that's kind of the plan. I hear what you're saying. You'd like not to give them the ball much, but we're not going to. We can't change who we are at this point. I understand what you're saying, though. Yeah.
I know you can't change who you are, so I'm just curious, how you would plan to, the idea of going into a game like that, as far as trying to do that.
You do think that way, but then you start thinking about, well, that's so different than who we are this year. Do we actually hurt ourselves that way? And so we're going to be us.
You're so familiar with the Big Ten, just from a physical nature. Is it the most physical or one of the most physical conferences that in the country and that you'll face this year.
Yeah, it's in my opinion, it's as far as the run game and stop the run game, it's unique. The SEC is probably the best conference as far as skill guys and things like that, but the fronts in the Big Ten, you have to build your team that way because when you get to October, there's snow on the ground, it's really cold, so you have to be physical. You have to play a physical brand of football on offense and defense, and they start that way from the very beginning, and they recruit to that, and so I think so.
Fit your program then going forward.
Well, I mean, you get better from playing everybody. But this is a, if you were to say, paint a picture of a team that is not like anyone in your conference, it would be the North Carolina game and this game, as far as kind of styles and how they play.
Speaking of the Big Ten, you got an old buddy out here with a few boys?
I do. I got an old guy walking around out there, and so excited to have him, and excited that he can be here. And they're very grateful to be here because making that trip back after the Panthers game and then turning right around is a tough. They play the Steelers is a tough transition. So they'll be here every day, and 12:45 to 2:45 after today, and it's good to have them.
Did you know John first and then Jim, or
No, I knew Jim first and then John.
recruit your son? Is that how you got to know him? Or?
No, my son was already on the team at Michigan, and had been there a year. Then Jim got the job, and our relationship just kind of blossomed after that.
You were at Michigan. What did you learn about how your coaching philosophy would translate to college?
Well, it's a really good question. I've been a high school coach pretty much my whole life. And a lot of the things that we did in high school, Jim did at Michigan. And when I say that, I mean very physical, get after it kind of football, incredibly long practices. The philosophy that, that saying that says less is more. Well, at Michigan, our saying was more is more. And you got to walk a very fine line when you do that. But we didn't put much of that in last year here because I didn't really know how the kids would react to that. Michigan has a 150-year culture or whatever it is of playing football. And the kids that go there know what they're getting. We did that this year. We put that in starting in December, and it's really paid dividends. So very much like what we're doing there.
Mental side of the game, and your relationship with the team.
Yeah. When you say mental side, do you mean like X's and O's, or do you mean
Building relationships and doing things for other people?
Well, I would say that that's probably something I'm pretty good at, and I just love the kids, so it's easy for me. I like talking to all of them. I like sitting out on the porch with all of them. I walked in my office yesterday, and a guy was taking a nap on my couch, I think I know this is a business. I'm not so sure I'm crazy about that. It's becoming more and more of that every year and has been for a long time. But if you don't love kids, I think you're in it for the wrong reason. So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just a little bit older.
They're just a little bit older. And what you're really trying to do is, what we're trying to do here is help change the trajectory of their lives. So, get a degree. Find something you love more than football because you're going to do it the next 50 years. Learn how to become a good man, eventually a good husband, a good father, a good son, good member of the community. Those things are what really matters. And unfortunately, the game there's a lot of money involved in college sports now. And so there's a short fuse on all that. you got to win or you don't have the chance to do that. So, but I really try to focus on the mission, and I let the scoreboard reflect the scoreboard.
Talked a little bit about who your team is right now earlier. You've talked about approaching this 4-game non-conference as a preseason. What do you think the identity is of your team right now going into that 4th and final preseason game?
I think I don't like to. I tell them certain things I don't like to tell everybody else, you know. But I'm proud of them. They have learned how to work. They have a work ethic. They've learned how to be together, a close-knit team. You didn't see or hear anybody blaming or getting after anybody else Saturday night. And last year, you'd have seen a lot of that. So I'm proud of how they've come together as a team. And I said to them this morning, I said in our team meeting, I said, you know, everybody talks about having a player-led team. It's very hard to get a player-led team. You got to have really good, you know, like strong leadership and a maturity level to get that. And we are a player-led team. It's them. I really like the culture we have, which is we're never giving up. We're going to play as hard as we possibly can. And we don't care if it's a 10th quarterback in the game or we're playing with 2 starting offensive linemen like we did in the beginning. We're going to play as hard as we possibly can. And that's what I like. That's who I think we are. And that can't come from a head coach or an assistant coach. That comes from within the locker room. And they've done it, and they're continuing to do it. And, you know, they learn from adversity, this group. And I told them this morning, you know, had we won 60-0 Saturday, we'd have learned nothing. What we learned so much Saturday about toughness, never giving up, and staying together, and that's them. You can't turn around to a bunch of guys that, you know, were down in the second half big and say, stay together. Well, that's like ridiculous. They're either going to do it themselves or they're not, and they do it.
What did you learn? Like you said, you can't learn anything from a 60-0 win, but what were you able to learn and take away from that game on Saturday?
We play hard. I should say they play hard. They never give up. They're together. And I think they're tough individuals. And look, toughness isn't about physical toughness. That's not toughness. Look, I mean, let's just face it. We're not as good physically as the guys we're going to play this week. It's just the truth. But it's emotional toughness. And we'll be, you know, we're pretty good there. And that's really the key to everything, I think.
Last question from me. There were some other guys dealing with injuries on the team, Max Brown being one, Prince Beema, Stonehandy. Can you give updates on some of those key factors or key players on the roster?
Yeah, I feel like a little bit of a broken record in front of you all the time because I wish I had, you know, when you asked about injuries, I could just say no one. But we do, you know, Prince is day-to-day. Max will not play. Purdy will not play. We still have some bumps in. I mean, Donnie's playing in a club, and we have some, you know, some bumps and bruises. But we're getting more healthy. Is that even the way to say that, or should I say healthier? Is that better? Healthier. We're getting healthier as every week more so. We're not where we want to be, but we're getting there. And I don't have a time frame on when these guys would be back. If I did, I'd tell you.
Colin, Biff brought up that Deshaun is going to be out this week, so Trexler's going to step in. What have you seen from Trexler that makes you guys so confident in him?
Yeah, well, I think with his experience from last year, all the things he did well and all the things that he didn't do well, to carry over into games like this against a great opponent at Indiana. I think that's huge for us. And I say it all the time to a lot of people that experience in the college world gets you a long way. And that's kind of why you see, like, the transfer portal, for example. Guys take more chances in the transfer portal than they do for freshmen or seniors coming out of high school. So I think experience with him is a big thing.
Quarterback competition got brought in for Trexler. He could have entered the portal, wanted to stay here. What does that mean to a team when a guy decides to kind of see it through with a team?
It means a lot. Yeah, you're right. He had every opportunity to take off and get another opportunity, but for him to stay and to keep working and compete, it's been fun to watch him grow and develop, and I'm excited for him.
I've seen him have a moment, or you guys have a moment Saturday night where he's telling or talking, saying, what are they going to say now?
It's awesome. I love that energy. He's a good friend of mine, so me and him were running up and down the sideline together, having fun, and yeah, that was a lot of fun.
For both of you, Coach just came up here and said that winning can be like a magic elixir. How is this the days after that win been, and how have these practices been leading up to this Saturday?
Yeah, I think it's just right back to work, and that's got to be the mentality. A win is a win, and that's something you celebrate for the time being on Saturday, and then focus on the next opponent. So I think just having that focus again throughout the rest of the week, practicing hard, and getting ready for the next game.
Yeah, I said we become more probably mentally focused, more prepared. Just starting off with our Sunday practice, like coming in, going ahead and just breaking down film. I feel like this week we're more mentally sharp.
You suffered some injuries early in your career, but you're getting a lot of burn right now. What's it like being out there with your team and kind of getting your footing in this program?
I mean, for me right now, I feel like, this is just God's timing. My freshman year, I had a Jones fracture. Right before coming in fall, I had a PCL injury. Third year, I was here with Biff, just kind of playing my role, being a role player. And then now I'm in that field, so now I feel like this is my opportunity, and I'm pretty much taking the most of it. But I'm really feeling it right now.
Cam, in Saturday's postgame, Ali and Reed told us that they relished the opportunity in that last drive to get a stop for you guys, or once the kind of the flow of the game was switching, they wanted to be the people that switched the game. How much confidence does it give you guys as a defense to know that when you guys need to make a stop, you can do it?
Oh yeah, I feel like it started out with Coach Wilkes, second half, just speech. He really got us right. He checked us if we wanted to be men or not. But yeah, coming out in that second half, I feel like we were just more mentally prepared. Defense, we had to talk with out of the coaches. The only reason that was in that game was because defense wasn't doing their job. So coming out, we knew we had to get stops to get the ball back to the offense, and that's just what we did.
Colin, this week, playing close to home for you, what's it mean to go back up there, and will you have family at the game?
Oh yeah. No, it's exciting. I think this is probably the closest I'll play to home my entire college career. So there's no putting a number on how many people are going to be there, but it's a lot. So I'm excited.
Kim, you guys are going against a pretty good offense this week, at least has been so far this year. I mean, what type of opportunity is that for a defense?
I know how you seen us played against Florida last year, how we did against North Carolina. So, I don't think it's not going to be any different this game. I feel like our keys, it's going to be our eyes this game. It's just they're going to go a lot of 2x2, 3x1. So, really just got to play. I mean, we just got to go out and play like how we do, and we'll be all right.
For Trexler, you hear a lot about the Purdy versus, or not Trexler, why did I call you that? Question for Colin. So you always hear the Trexler versus Purdy conversation and stuff, but the playmakers on offense should get some love too. Hassan Wilson, you, Sean Brown. Can you just talk about what they did in that game and how you guys can translate that going forward for the rest of the season? Yeah,
well, Sean was amazing, and I'm so proud of him. I've been here since he's been here, and just watching him work his way up, it's been fun to watch, and he's a really talented guy. And then same with Hassan. Hassan has been a stud. We just have such a deep running back room that all these guys are splitting carries, and to see him break out like he did last year a little bit, it's been exciting. And for them to carry on into this year, making plays, being a focal point of our offense, it's been fun to watch, and I'm excited for those guys.
You and Bryce both had really big games this last weekend. What has Brew brought to that tight end room this year that you guys have really maybe latched onto and run with?
I think mentality. Mentality is a big thing that it's hard to coach, right? It's a lot of guys think you either have it or you don't, and that's true in most cases. But I think Coach Brew does a great job coaching mentality, and all of us tight ends take pride in being physical guys, doing the dirty work, and so when you have games like that where you have a lot of catches, it's rewarding. So.
I had a catch. You ever seen him act like that before?
I haven't practiced yet, but he got loose on that one. That was fun.
Both of you guys, you got the Chargers here practicing this week. What's that been like? Have you guys got to, I guess, intermingle with some of the players, coaches, or what has that been like?
Yeah, I think this past weekend, they've been busy. We've been busy with games. But they'll be around this week during the weekdays. So I'm sure we'll kind of be checking in if we're allowed to and see how they're practicing. And, yeah, we're excited to have them here, though.
Talking about a player sleeping in his office and taking a nap. I'm just wondering what the culture change has been like with him leading the way, both of you guys. Either.
Yeah. This team this year, I think we're much more together. And really that's the biggest thing. We all want to come out and we all want to practice hard for each other. It's not a offense versus defense every day. We want to beat the crap out of you. You want to beat the crap out of us. We know what we're doing is we're playing hard together so we can win games on Saturday, right? So we're competing hard together, but it's not over competing to where we're fighting or it's breaking the team apart, and that's a huge difference from last year.
Yeah, I'd say like more than ever this year. I said we're piggybacking off of Colin. Like we're just more together. Like we work hard every day. Just come in, work as one, and we just trying to do our job daily.
And organically, or was it a top-down thing where you guys were?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you press that from the top down, but the guys coming in, all the transfers, all the new faces, a bunch of great kids, and so we kind of built that together as a team. And like I said, you're getting pressed a little bit from the top down as well. So.
And that's what works is that those transfers just kind of just bought into the culture. It's not like they try to just shy away from everybody. They kind of brought everybody together, so they knew what the plan was too.
Will you talk about Henry Rutledge's game and kind of the spark that he brings to your offense and special teams as well?
Yeah, Henry's awesome because you can put him anywhere on the field. There's a lot of options. There's a lot of ways that we can get him the ball. We can put him in the backfield. We can flex him out all the way to the number one receiver. And anytime he's got the ball in space, he's dangerous. So that's somebody you got a game plan for. And like I said, there's a lot of different ways we can get him the ball, and we will continue to do that because he's so dangerous.